Hello out there to everyone. It's your boy Cliff, Mr. Dream Big Academy, Mr. Champions Attitude, coming to you real quickly. Just to remind you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Champions Attitude, to like me on Facebook and Instagram, and you can even follow me on Twitter if you would like. But I just wanted to come to you today because I had to. Yesterday, I posed a question on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. And the question that I asked is, are you a bee or a beaver? And I'm gonna tell you where this thought came from. Because I'm always thinking about how to be better, how to progress, how to be a true champion. Because champions evolve, champions take the time to adapt and to grow. And because that is necessary in the life of a champion. And I believe that everyone that is alive today, that can think, that can move, that is breathing, can be a champion. You have that champion pedigree in you. Number one, because you created in the image of God, because He created you in His likeness, in His image. That means you have greatness, you have creativity. And so that's why this thought came to me. And I was thinking about, because I've always wanted to be better. That's who I am. Because I want to be the best version of myself, because being the best version of me allows me to be the best version for everything that's attached to my life. So I thought about something. I said, God, I don't want to be stagnant. So that was the main thought. I said, I don't want to stand still. I don't want to be stagnant. And then God asked me something real quickly. He said, are you a bee or a beaver? And I asked this question on social media, and I want you to answer this question honestly after I go through this, because when he said it to me, immediately I was like, that's a weird question. And especially when it comes to productivity and growth. And then I said, well, of course, that's going to actually prompt me to do some research. And so before I get started, I want to lay some foundations to say that I'm an avid nature lover. This is not one knock against one animal or another, but it's the point that I'm trying to drive home. It's about productivity and growth. So we're going to start talking about, the first thing we're going to talk about is the disadvantages of a beaver and the disadvantages of a bee. So what is a disadvantage of a beaver? And disadvantage, probably the largest one is, when a beaver, let's talk about what a beaver is. A beaver is an animal that's semi-aquatic, that lives on land and lives on water. And it also builds its home usually in lakes and streams. So what it does, therefore, that's what we have called a dam. So it's just like a dam that a person builds, because, you put a dam in there so it can actually, hold water or hold back and retain water. So one of the biggest disadvantages, well, a bee, of course, is a small insect. We all know about a bee, and they're known for flying around and for one of the greatest things is building beehives and things like that. So, hopefully everybody knows what those type of animals are, the bee and the beaver. So I want to kind of lay a foundation about that. Google it if you want some more information, okay? Because this video is not that long. But let's talk about the disadvantages of a beaver and the disadvantages of the bee. The disadvantage of the beaver, because it does build a dam, it also causes flooding of water that can cause damage to crops and meadows. And if the bee dam is located near a railway or rail line or roads or bridges in those areas, it can cause deterioration through constant retention of moisture around those areas, because water eventually and extra moisture will cause things to rot and to decay. So that's one of the disadvantages of a beaver, or the disadvantages of a beaver. So also let's talk about the disadvantages of a bee. And the biggest disadvantage that I could find is they can cause harm by their sting. And some people are allergic to bee venom, and it can cause serious harm and even death. So there are disadvantages to both of them. So I wanted to put that out there because I want people to realize that this is not this is a clear thought. I'm not here to attack an animal or anything like that. And you have to do that. You'd be surprised how many people would take offense to this stuff. So, but let's talk about the advantage or the benefits of a beaver. Once a dam is completed, the space at which the waterways are moved is going to slow down, and its path is going to be altered. This actually creates an extensive wetland upstream that houses vast amounts of biodiversity, including a multitude of endangered species. So by the bee making a dam, it makes a wetland where some animals and plants do thrive in that area, because that change of the environment, the biodiversity of the environment changes, because now it invites other animals to come and live there. It causes some vegetations that need that extra moisture to grow there. So there is a benefit of it. It is a benefit to have a beaver there. And so the benefit is, and what I like to think about this, if you're looking from a productivity standpoint, you become real good at one thing. And there's nothing wrong with mastering one thing. I think that is a vital step to growth and development. You do have to master something. Too often we try to do too much. And we never master something, so we never become good at it. Therefore, it doesn't get the full benefit of it. So actually being a beaver, the benefits of a beaver person, it is they become masters, and they can affect their area of expertise. And so, it's great. That's a great benefit. However, the danger of that is, let's go back to the disadvantage of it. You can become great in one area, but with that being said, you could become stagnant. If you only focus on being great in one area, you can become stagnant. That's something that that was my prevailing thought. I don't want to become stagnant. I don't want to be held down. I don't want to stop in one area, because sometimes with this, and why it thought came is because if you're not willing to change or you're not willing to adapt, you can cause harm. So not willing to change, not willing to adapt, not willing to grow, you can cause harm, because you might be great in one area, but you got to be able to be flexible. And with the beaver, you think about the beaver, the only thing they're caring about is their living. This is where I live. And quite frankly, we all have to have a living, but it's like, this is where I live, this is what I do. So no matter the times you knock down that dam, if you do not remove the beaver from that place, it's going to rebuild it. And what's going to happen is, whatever the corrosion, whatever the erosion that happens, it's going to continue to happen, because that beaver doesn't want to change. It's only good at building dams. It doesn't know how to do anything else. So I had to think about that. I don't want to be a beaver, because yes, I want to master something, but I don't want to be good at just one thing and stay there and become stagnant and don't grow. So that's what God started to tell me. It's like, wow. I said, okay, now I'm starting to get it. So let's look at the benefits of a bee. Now, the bee has several benefits. Plant pollination. Bees pollinate listen to me. Bees pollinate a shocking 85% of food crops intended for human consumption. Think about that. Bees pollinate 85% of food crops intended for human consumption. Also, most notably, bees also, this is another advantage, make honey, which is also something we can eat, which also contains adequate levels of vitamins B1, B3, and B6, as well as minerals like calcium, iron, potassium, and zinc. Also, a benefit of being a bee, it has antibacterial properties. In addition, it can be used as healthy alternative to sugar in baked goods and cooking. Honey has a powerful antibacterial properties. It kills bacteria, prevents infections in the skins and wounds, and has shown to relieve allergies thanks to traces of the amounts of pollen. And last but not least, it has wax production. As far as back as the 6th century AD, our ancestors used bee wax to make candles, develop cosmetics, and even fill cavities. And is most commonly added to beauty products, wood furniture waxings, and concrete polishes. It also preserves copper and bronze, is waterproof leather, and is waxy coating for cheese wraps. So I want you to think about that from a productivity standpoint, a productivity level. Not only are bees good, but what they do translate into other areas. So my question to you Is what you're doing, or how you're developing, how you're progressing, how you're growing, can it translate into other areas? Does it have an impact on other areas? You're not just good at one thing, but what you're doing, not only is it good, it translates to other areas. So when you think of a bee, most of us think of a bee as something that flies and goes to flowers and trees, and then it goes back to its hive, it makes honey. You know, we think it's a common small thing. But as you look at it, the bee is very productive, and what it provides is good at pollination. It's good at making honey. It's good at building wax homes within their hives. It is good, but it's multifaceted. So it's not just stagnant, you guys. It moves, it creates, it impacts other areas. So my question to you is, are you a beaver or are you a bee? Are you good at one thing and don't want to change? Or are you good at diverse things? Or have you perfected what you're doing? Because the bee has perfected what it's doing. It makes honey, but it needs pollen to make the honey. So what does it do? It flies around to collect pollen to bring back to the hive to make the honey. But by it flying around from tree to tree, from fruit to fruit, from flower to flower, it's impacting, it's making an impact on the environment. And it's not just one area. See, with a beaver, it's only concerned about one area. And it's only concerned about where it lives, its habitat, and what it can get from that particular area. The bee is not like that. The bee is saying, I gotta go and get what I need to get. I need to go and travel. I need to make an impact or impression on other things. And so that's why God asked me that question. I didn't quite get it at first, because I was like, what? A bee or a beaver? Those are some odd animals for me to be able to compare it to. But now that I had done my research and I see how important bees are in their productivity, now I want to say to God, I want to be a bee. Because I don't want to be good at just one area and then cause harm in the other areas around me. I want to be good in what I do impacts others. I want to grow and I want to flourish and I want to stretch. So you guys, think about that when you come to your life. I want you to start taking real good inventory of your life, your thought process, your processes, your thinking, your growth, your development. Is what you're doing, is it just good for one area that can potentially become stagnant? Or what you're doing, can it translate to others and make an impact? So that's my question for you. And this is the end of the video. My name is Cliff once again. So I want you to answer that question honestly. And if the answer is, I feel like I'm a beaver, guess what? You can always turn into a bee. So let me give you some words of encouragement before I end this video, because that will be a disadvantage to you. Before you do anything, if whatever one you determine you are, if you are a bee, great, continue to be the best bee, continue to grow, continue to impact, and continue to progress. But if you're a beaver, don't get scared, don't be hesitant, don't get down on yourself. No, pick yourself up, say now, and this is what acknowledgement does. This is what the key thing to acknowledgement. Acknowledgement allows you to identify the things that you need to develop and grow and change. So now that you're hearing this video, now that I've spoken these words, now that I've done some little bit of research for you, if you want to do more research, of course, it's up to you. I want you to say, you know what? If I'm a bee, if I'm a beaver, let me say that. If I'm a beaver, I don't have to continue to be a beaver. I can be a bee. And start making the steps to being that bee. Start making the steps to changing your life and impacting others. So once again, this is your boy Cliff, Mr. Champion's Attitude, Mr. Dream Big Academy. I love you, and you have yourself a great day, and I'm looking forward to hearing some great success.